Hello and welcome. I'm Kevin, the Senior Horticulturalist here at the Greenery Garden Home. And it's getting on for that time of the year when people are thinking about going on holidays and preparing their garden for while they're away. And one of the best things you can do before you go away on holidays, in fact, even throughout the summer, is mulching. And today I'm going to speak about the different types of mulches, their advantages, and where you might use them in the garden. So stay tuned. So before I speak about the different types of mulches that are available, I just wanted to briefly talk about the advantages of applying mulch to garden beds and also vegetable gardens. Mulch is fantastic, number one, for suppressing weeds. For those of you who loathe weeding the garden and find that weeds are just a constant battle in the garden, one of the best ways to counteract the weeds is to use a mulch. Mulch suppresses weed growth by providing a barrier between the soil and the mulch itself, so the weeds can't grow. They also help to retain moisture in the soil. So through those hotter summer days when the plants are using a lot of water, any water is very valuable when it gets into the soil, and we want our plants to be getting the maximum benefit from that. So mulching also reduces water loss from the soil, reduces that evaporation, and two, it helps to keep the plant roots cool so they don't tend to suffer or even burn on those really hot summer days. Certain mulches also, as they deteriorate on the soil, they help to add nutrient matter to the soil as well. They promote soil activity with the microorganisms. They encourage worms. They improve the soil structure as they do break down. So there's a lot of advantages in using mulch in the garden. Another thing to keep in mind too, a mulch also finishes the garden bed off. If you've done a new planting, new plants, you've got all these lovely new trees and shrubs, ground covers put in your garden. Dressing it with a mulch also helps to highlight those plants and put some decoration into the garden as well. So there's lots of advantages in using mulches. So I'll talk about now the different types that are available and where you would use them. There's various types of products that you can use for mulch in gardens and vegetable gardens, and I'll talk about a few of those now, the more popular ones that are often used. For those of you with vegetable gardens, mulching is a must. After you've planted your new season's vegetables, the mulch that you apply is going to improve the soil as it breaks down, and for all those other benefits that I've mentioned, it's certainly worth adding. In vegetable gardens, you tend to favour the natural mulches, and there's quite a few different types, and I've grabbed a couple here today. This is Lucerne Mulch, and the beauty of Lucerne, it's very high in nitrogen. So in vegetable gardens, most of the leafy type vegetables love nitrogen, and as the Lucerne breaks down, it improves the soil conditions, adds nitrogen into the soil, and helps encourage microorganisms in the soil. So the benefit of using it, retaining the moisture in the soil, it also has those added benefits of building up the soil structure over time. So these are something that you would add on a regular basis in between your planting crops of vegetables. For instance, over the summer period, you would use the mulch heavily around each plant, and then reapply it maybe with your second planting in autumn and winter. So this is Lucerne. It's a bit like a straw type mulch, very natural type mulch, and ideal for vegetable gardens. So another natural mulch which is very popular these days is sugarcane mulch. Sugarcane mulch is the byproduct of the sugarcane growing industry. So it has the added benefit of being environmentally beneficial too. It has all those benefits that I've mentioned of improving soils around vegetable gardens and retaining moisture in the soil. As this breaks down, it also helps with improving the soil content of nutrients and also adding organic matter to the soil as well. Why would you choose sugarcane over lucerne? Both of them have the same effect on the soil. It's personal preference really. They tend to look similar as far as the aesthetics go on the garden beds, but both very, very beneficial for vegetable gardens generally. This is another fantastic product for soil conditioning. This is ZooGrow, which is made from various compostable material that comes out of our zoos. So it has animal manures in it, it has organic matter mixed through it, but being also suitable for mulching the garden. As the organic matter deteriorates over time, it again improves the soil conditions, but acts as an insulator on top of the soil if you're using it as a mulch. The weeds probably would tend to grow better in this product. So some of the others that I've mentioned previously, if it's mainly weeds you're looking to control, they would be better. If you want great soil improvement as well as a mulch, then I'd be including something like the ZooGrow. It's safe to use on a whole range of plants, particularly beneficial for vegetable gardens and any new plantings that you might be doing. So look out for ZooGrow. It's a great product. You can even use it around your pots, as long as it's not too thick around the pots themselves. So ZooGrow is another, instead of being used as a soil conditioner, it can also be used as a mulch, particularly in the vegetable garden. Two of the more popular mulches for garden beds are the bark type mulches. They are very aesthetically pleasing after new plants are put into the garden, or they're used on a maybe annual basis to top up existing mulch that might have broken down over time. The main advantage with these mulches is their look. They're not fantastic as far as soil conditioning goes. They do help to suppress weeds. They help to keep moisture in the soil, but their main advantage is their look. A lot of gardeners these days are favouring the black dyed mulch because of its look. It offsets the green foliage in plants very, very well, and helps to dress up the garden, as I say, keep the weeds down and keep the moisture in the soil. I should add, with any mulch that you might use in the garden around any plants, avoid having it right up close to the trunk of the plant. Regardless of the age of the plant, whether it's a tree, a shrub, seedling, whatever, you need to avoid having it right against the trunk of these plants. The mulch can build up heat and it can cause damage to the stem or the trunks of these plants, and can sometimes cause ring barking and death of those plants. So always good practice just to keep the mulch over the root system. Avoid getting it close to the trunk of the plants. It's always good practice to moisten the soil prior to you laying any mulch around plants on your vegetable garden. If you put the mulch straight onto dry soil, it makes it very hard for the water to penetrate past the mulch into the soil underneath. If it's dry, the water tends to run off, and you can have issues where the plants are suffering because they're not getting enough water at a later date through the mulch itself. So a good soaking a day or so before you're intending to put the mulch down, and then after you've laid the mulch, it's also good practice to moisten it again, so that you're ensuring that the whole area has got plenty of moisture in it, not allowing it to dry out. So that's good practice with any new mulch that you might be laying on garden beds. So the bark mulches are good for keeping the weeds down. They're good for ensuring moisture, insulating the root system. They don't tend to improve the soil much, even though they do break down over time. They don't really condition the soil much, but have all those added benefits like the other mulches do. It's a good idea because these are pine bark type based mulches. As they do break down over time, they tend to draw nitrogen out of the soil, which can affect some plants that are sensitive to nitrogen. And you need to combat that by adding fertiliser on a regular basis. Those fertilisers that might be high in nitrogen, for instance, blood and bone, dynamic lifter, they tend to make up, if they're used regularly, for the nitrogen that's taken out of the soil as the bark mulches break down. So it's a good idea maybe once or twice a year if you're using the bark mulches, just to add that sort of fertiliser. Fertiliser will also benefit the plants. It helps to feed the plants too. So if you've got particular queries about the sort of mulch you should be using, feel free to ask any of the horticultural staff here in store. We're only too happy to help. Now's the time to put it on. We're going into the summer months. And if you want to reduce the amount of water that you put on your garden, or if you're going away on holidays, you want to keep the weeds down, then certainly look at adding some sort of mulch to the garden. And we're happy to advise you on which would be the best for your situation. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you got a little bit of info out of this demonstration on mulches. If you do have any further queries, feel free to ask any of our qualified staff here at the Greenery Garden Home. Remembering we're open 6.5 days a week and happy to help you wherever we can. Thanks again for watching.